Welcome to Analytical Media. We are a consortium, a group of therapists, college professors, and well-published peer-reviewed authors. Today we're going to talk about two families, the Crumbleys and the Grays. The Crumbleys may not be listening to this video unless the internet is available to them in prison, because they are in prison right now serving a 15-year sentence, both of them, the mother and the father. James and Jennifer Crumbley will not be eligible for parole until they have served 10 years of their 15-year sentence. That sentence, by the way, was the maximum that was allowed under law. Colin Gray is the father of Colt Gray. Colt Gray has allegedly killed two students and allegedly killed two teachers with an AR-15 style rifle. What do Ethan and Colt have in common? Well, they took their guns to school and killed some people. What else do they have in common? Their mother and father, in the Crumbley case, and the father alone, in the Gray case, are being held responsible for the murders their sons have committed. The other thing they have in common is that both of the weapons were purchased as early Christmas gifts. James Crumbley purchased the handgun as an early Christmas gift for his son Ethan just 4 days before the shooting, which was November 26, 2021. He bought the gun for him despite Ethan being underage. He was prohibited from legally possessing the gun, but that didn't stop James from buying it for him. It was against the law, but he bought it for him anyway. The gun, which was a handgun, was kept unsecured in the parents' bedroom. It had a cable lock, but Ethan knew how to remove it. The day after the father bought the gun for Ethan, the mother, Jennifer Crumbley, took Ethan to a shooting range, and on social media she posted, quote, "Mom and Son Day, testing out his new Christmas present." Yet she brags about it on social media. I guess she wanted her friends to know that they were breaking the law and they were proud of it. Now, Ethan might not have been the right kid to buy this gun for. See if you would have bought it for your kid. According to court records, Ethan exhibited clear signs of distress, including hallucinations. Ethan was hearing voices and also seeing demons. He was depressed and he had violent ideation. In his journal, he wrote about wanting to, quote, "shoot up the school," and drew pictures of guns and people bleeding. The parents were aware of all of this, but they dismissed concerns. Now, when Ethan was caught drawing a violent picture in school, Jennifer, the mother, was notified. Jennifer texted Ethan after the call from the school, quote, that she was not mad about his hallucinations, but she advised him to learn not to get caught. That's a quote. Her advice to him was, well, it's okay that you drew those pictures, but learn not to get caught. Now, because of her actions, perhaps completely because or somewhat because of her actions, her son ended up killing a bunch of people. But she was punished for it. She's being punished right now. She's in prison, and she's going to be there for up to 15 years. They did not get, that's the parents, they did not get consistent mental health treatment for Ethan. Ethan only went to a few sessions, according to the court records. Now, on the day of the shooting, when Ethan killed a bunch of innocent people, and I'd like to point out, it could have been you if you were there. It could have been your children if they were there, guilty of nothing but going to school. They went to school. That's where their guilt ends. They went to school. And as a society, that's where our guilt begins, because we don't protect those children, our children, your children. So the school calls the parents hours before Ethan shoots up the school. And the school officials, they're not named which ones, but the school officials summoned the Crumbleys. They wanted the Crumbleys to come to school to deal with the drawings that their son was generating. The drawing in particular that was of great concern was a picture of a gun and a bullet-riddled figure with the text written there, "The thoughts won't stop. Help me," end quote. Quote, "The thoughts won't stop. Help me," end quote. And also the words, quote, "blood everywhere," end quote. The school urged the parents to take Ethan home for counseling, but the parents refused. Why? Because they had work commitments. They might have thought it was more important to have work commitments, go to work, do your job, than raise your son, but they're being punished for it. They're still in prison. Right now, they're in prison. They're going to be there at least 10 years, maybe 15. While they were at the school, they never told the school that they bought him a gun, that they bought Ethan a gun. They never told the school. The school was unaware of the fact that a gun had been purchased for Ethan. And the other thing that they did, or failed to do, was to check his backpack. The parents never looked in Ethan's backpack, and that's where the gun was hidden. It was in the backpack. If anybody would have looked, nobody would have died. So after the school meeting, Ethan returned to class, and shortly after that began to shoot people. And for that negligence, that very poor parenting, the Crumbleys are in prison right now. For the very first time after the shooting, the police announced, the prosecutors announced, that the Crumbleys were going to be charged for their involvement in this crime. That's the very first time anywhere, any time. And they took off. The Crumbleys left. They left town. They didn't tell anybody where they were going, and they were eventually found hiding in a Detroit art studio where they were arrested. The Crumbleys were tried separately, but they were sentenced together at the same time to 10 to 15 years in prison, which was the maximum sentence allowed. They did get credit for the time served at 2.5 years. They were in jail before the trial. And the judge made a big deal out of their failure to act as a deterrent to the murders of these people. They did file appeals in June, arguing some issue about evidence and the novelty of the charges. They're very unusual charges, but no ruling has been issued as of this date. And now, nothing of this sort, charges against the parents, has occurred. Not serious charges. Some misdemeanor charges have been brought against parents, but no serious charges, no manslaughter charges. Just misdemeanors, not criminal charges. Until the dad of Colin Gray, has been arrested, charged, and is on trial right now. And here's what happened with Colt. Colt took the gun that was bought for him for a Christmas gift. An early Christmas gift. They were both early gifts, listed as such. Took that gun, an AR-15 type gun, rifle, to school, and he killed 2 students. Christian Angulo and Mason Shermanhorn, both 14. Well, I guess they got to live to the ripe old age of 14. And 2 teachers at the school, Richard Aspinwall and Christina Irimi. Also injured 9 other people. Colt, who's only 14, faces adult charges. He's being tried as an adult. 4 counts of murder, among other charges, and is detained. He's in jail now. Now, the prosecutors, they believe that Colin Gray should go to jail because he directly enabled the attack. And here's what the prosecutors say, that Colin purchased the rifle as a Christmas gift for Colt in December 2023. Despite a May 2023 FBI tip about Colt's online threats to commit a school shooting that was posted on Discord. So even though the FBI issued a tip to Colin that his son was talking about a school shooting, Colin went ahead and bought him the gun. I mean, after all, it is Christmas, right? Authorities visited the Gray's home. They didn't leave a message. They didn't email him. They went to the house and they told Colin what Colt did. And Colin, being the good, wonderful father he is, denied the threats. He said, no, that's not true. He denied what his son did. He denied it. And he claimed that their guns were for hunting only. Now, if you talk to a hunter, a real hunter, we're not talking about a guy that has 35 guns or 400 guns who has a fetish for guns. We're talking about a serious hunter that goes out there in the wintertime, literally freezes his ass off, maybe high up in a tree stand, and waits there all day, unable to move. Ask him what his weapon of choice is. It would be very unlikely that that weapon of choice would be an AR type weapon, an AK-47 type weapon, a weapon of war type of weapon. It would be your ordinary single shot, not a semi-automatic weapon. In fact, it used to be, most everywhere, it was illegal to hunt with a semi-automatic weapon. We're talking big game now, we're talking deer. And to this very day, there still are a number of states where it is illegal to hunt with a semi-automatic weapon. There are ways around that in some states, other states. Some it's out and out prohibited. Other places you can use limiters, 1 bullet in the clip, this and that, other things in other states. But it's noticeable. States pay attention to automatic weapons, semi-automatic weapons, and hunting. So Colin, the father of Colt, it's not ironic that Colin names his son Colt. Maybe he could have named his son just 45. Not Colt 45. Maybe his middle name is 45. Maybe it's Colt, middle name 45, Gray. So he claims they're just hunters with semi-automatic weapons. He denies that his son ever made those threats. That's just silliness. And the authorities that were there at that time talking to Colin, the man who's on trial right now for aiding his son to kill a bunch of people, authorities could not remove any weapons from the home because there was a lack of probable cause. The dad just said, no, not true. And shortly after saying not true, Colt, one has to wonder if Colin had another child. Might he name him Magnum Colt, Magnum, well, Colt, with or without the middle name of 45, exhibited severe behavioral issues, severe, including anxiety, anxious, angry, and homicidal, suicidal thinking. He was thinking about it, talking about it, killing other people, killing himself. School records, that's the school where Colt attended, show multiple reports of threats, including one days before the shooting, where a caller warned of an extreme emergency at Appalachia. Colin, the dad, who's on trial now, was aware of Colt's mental health struggles. And we know that not because he admitted it, but because they found text messages he sent about his son being so volatile. It means he blew up. He had anger issues. But Colin failed to seek help for Colt or restrict access to weapons from Colt. The family lived in poverty, with Colin reportedly abusing substances. You know, if you live in poverty, how can you afford an AR-15? Well, I guess in life you scrape up money. Maybe you steal, borrow, or beg for money so that you can give your kid a good Christmas gift that will enable him only to kill. This is a kid now with severe behavioral issues. He's got anxiety, anger, homicidal, suicidal thoughts. Well, it is Christmas after all, and if the kid really wants a gun to kill people, why the hell not get it for him? Am I right or am I wrong? I mean, it just depends how you look at it. Kid really wants the gun to kill people, it's your kid, you know. Well, when you buy it for your kid, remember, you might be going to jail for whatever your kid does. And once this becomes more popular, right, arresting the parents of children who kill other children, who shoot up schools, once it becomes more popular to arrest them, I got a feeling kids like Colt ain't getting weapons of war for Christmas. I could be wrong. The court records show that Colin, the guy who's about to go to jail, allowed Colt unsupervised access to the rifle and ammunition. He let him go in there and look at it and play with it and load it, one would think, knowing of prior investigations, what the FBI had to say, or the government agencies that went to talk to Colin. After they told him, he still allowed Colt unsupervised access to the rifle and ammunition. After the shooting, evidence showed the gun was not secured correctly or at all. There was no attempt to securely store the rifle. And Colt brought it to school hidden in his backpack. Now, Colin was charged on September 5th, 2024, with 29 counts. 2 of second-degree murder. That's for the teachers his kid killed. 2 for involuntary manslaughter for the students that he killed, the Colt killed. 8 of cruelty to children for injuries, the other children, and 17 of reckless conduct. These charges, by the way, are more severe than the Crumbleys, and they get to enjoy the free accommodations and the luxury of 15 years in prison. Prosecutors are seeking a life sentence. Think about that, Colin. You had to buy that kid a weapon of mass destruction there, a war gun, because kids need it. You know, middle school can be pretty dangerous. Your kid may have to go in there and shoot it up, kill a few dozen people. Who knows? I hope you bought him plenty of ammunition. I mean, middle school wars be pretty bad. Adults will be held responsible for anything they do that is illegal with an assault rifle, or for that matter, any weapon. We're not going to overlook it. You shoot somebody, you shoot up a school, a mall. If you survive, you're going to prison for the rest of your life. Knowing that, why would you buy a gift for your child that could send him to prison for the rest of his life? Don't you know that children aren't that smart? They're not mature. Their brains aren't fully formed. Don't you know that? You know the silly, stupid stuff that kids do? Well, that could involve murder. Yeah, your kid could go out, take the family car with some of his friends, gather up some big rocks, weigh a couple of pounds each, go driving down the highway and throw those rocks at oncoming vehicles, killing people in those vehicles. Yeah, they could do that. And those kids, your kid, he's going to jail for the rest of his life. Or if he takes his gun to school and kills a bunch of kids or one, he's going to jail for the rest of his life. The only difference is you did not enable your child to do that. Millions of kids drive cars and never throw a rock, never deliberately try to hurt another person. There's no reason to think that driving a car to the mall is going to result in your child going to prison for the rest of his life. However, buying him a weapon that's used for killing and no other purpose, it's used for killing. Yes, you can say we use it for target practice. It's true, but you only use it for target practice so that when you go out to kill, you're better at killing. It's a weapon. It's designed to kill. Yeah, you have a Second Amendment right to have it in your house, but that right doesn't extend to if my kid picks it up, oh well, you can't blame me because that gun's not securely put away or my child has some access to it. You can't blame me. Well, yeah, we can blame you, and you're getting blamed for it, and that's exactly what should happen. You want to cut down on school shootings, put more parents in jail. It's just that simple. Maybe you ought to be smart enough to know that that gun is not safe in your home. Your kid's not stupid. He could figure out how to get into that safe, find your key, whatever it takes. Maybe you ought to store it someplace, like a gun club. If you don't trust your kid, store it someplace other than at home till that child's old enough. And he's no longer a child. When he's old enough to own a weapon, perhaps then. What kind of parent are you, putting your child at that kind of risk? You know, kids play with guns and kill themselves. Kids take their parents' weapons and self-destruct. There is a Second Amendment right to own weapons in this country. And we at Analytical Media have nothing against that. I haven't taken a survey, but most of the people, many of the people at Analytical Media have weapons, have guns at home for self-protection. There's no reason why you should have to be self-protecting with a baseball bat at home, but you've got to do it in a responsible way. And if you have children, it had better be an immensely responsible way, because if it's not, we at Analytical Media believe that you should go to jail, perhaps for life. Take it more seriously. You start to put the parents away, you're going to see a big decline in their children going to schools and committing mass murder. This is Analytical Media. We hope everything's gone well for you. We hope your family's good. We hope you're good. We'll see you in the next video. Please like and subscribe. It helps us help other people. Take care.